Your palm holds a wealth of information about your life, including your strengths, weaknesses, and potential for growth. With my knowledge of palmistry, I would help you to discover and try to provide you guidance for your life journey ahead. We are reading a hand of a person whose age is 20 years old. Each hand has something unique in them, and even in this particular hand, what the most unique aspect that I see out here is on the headline. This is the line of head, and this is also another headline. Normally you would not find such kind of an indication on one's palm, so I would be pointing out this particular aspect in my palm reading. This person had asked me one particular question regarding love, and the person told me, why does love life keep failing? So this is one question I would be answering at the first. To look for love life, you should look at the line of heart. This is the line of heart. Now you would be wondering why we are taking a look at the left hand. This is the left hand and this is the right hand. So the thing is that we should try to look at both the hands to arrive at the conclusion. It's not that only left hand is important or right hand is important. It is generally said that for females we should look at the left hand, and for males we should look at the right hand. But things have changed, and these days women are working, so that is the reason why I normally try to give importance to both the hands, the left as well as the right hand. There are lots of similarities on the left as well as the right hand, so it does not matter if we are reading the left hand or the right hand, because there are lots of similarities. So we were talking about the love life. Now love life should be seen on the heart line. The heart line, whenever it is very simple, simple means just one simple line, nothing more than that. That is one of the best aspects for your love life. Having a perfect line, like this is a perfect kind of a line which I have drawn. A perfect heart line does not guarantee that your love life is going to be perfect, but what it basically means is that you would not have any negative impact, even if you don't have a good person to be your company. So even if the person whom you associate with is not good, even then the bad impact of that particular person is not going to play out in your life. So that is one aspect. Now when we look at this particular heart line, you will notice that the heart line does have few branches out here. So these are few branches, which is normal to have. It is said that if you have got these kind of branches, it means that the person has got great love for children, and children are likely to get attracted to such a person. So having branches at the start is a good sign. There's nothing wrong with it. But as the heart line moves forward, there appears to be a break out here. You will notice that there is a break. Let me zoom in so that you can see it much more clearly. I'm just removing the lines. At the start there are few branches, which I've said, which is normal. Okay, then the line starts, then there's a break, another line restarts. That too kind of breaks out here, and now there is an island like formation out here, and there's another island like formation out here. So the line is a little bit inconsistent in the earlier portion of your life. This is the earlier portion, and this is basically the later portion of your life. Okay, so the thing is that it's always better to have a simplistic kind of a line. Simplistic kind of a line provides much more stability in your life compared to a line that has got island like formations. This is the island that I had spoken about. There's an island something like this also out here, and there's a break also here. Now breaks on the heartline could mean an abrupt ending in a relationship or a partnership or the work that you're doing. I normally, what I say is that each and every line can talk something or the other regarding your life. So it is not that if you have to look for money, you just have to look at the money line. Even your heart line can talk about your money. Even your headline, even your lifeline can talk about the monies. So generally, the impression is that lifeline would only tell regarding how the length of the life, but I would say each and every aspect can be seen on each and every line in your palm. So that is the reason why we have to kind of mix and match everything to arrive at the conclusion. Now, if we look the same things on the right hand, even on the right hand also, you would notice that there is island-like formation out here. There's an island-like formation out here, and this is the line of heart, and then there are few branches over the heart line. So branches over the heart line which are hanging downwards. This is downward. This portion is downward, and the finger top is basically the upward. So if there are some lines hanging downwards and touching the headline, then there are few negative aspects that are associated with it. It is something like this is your physical heart, and there are ropes hanging onto the physical heart, and there's a weight hanging onto the heart. So branches on the heart line means attachments. So this is our attachment. There's a rope that is hanging. That is our attachment, and attachment bring in expectations. Expectations are not fulfilled. That's the reason why disappointment may creep in, and your performance also can go down because you're not able to commit yourself. You're not able to dedicate yourself completely to one thing and one thing only. So these branches basically are the lines of distraction. Now these distraction can be distraction in your relationship, or this distraction can be in your work profile, or any partnerships, or anything basically. It can be your work life, it can be your relationship, it can be partnership, anything basically. So an island basically out here on the heartline could mean an elongated period of emotional stress and anxiety. What is an island? First, you have to understand what is an island. Island is something like, in the middle of the ocean, there's a small island. So everybody thinks that they would enjoy going to visiting an island. Yes, we agree, I do agree, but at the same time, if you are left on an island for a long duration of time, you would say, I would never go to an island. So island basically means isolation, and island on the line of heart means emotional isolation. So this is what an elongated period of emotional stress and anxiety. So this portion is the starting portion of the heartline. This is the ending portion of the heartline. So the thing is that so in the initial period we find a little bit negativity, but as you progress in your life, things would become better and better and still better. Now let us take a look at the other lines that are there on the palm. Like I am trying to correlate the question the person had, why love life keep failing. So this is one question. So I'm trying to answer it from a different line perspective. Now this is the line of head, and this is the line of life. Now there's a big gap in the middle, you would notice. Now this is there are variations in this particular line. Some people, they may have a headline something like this, and a barely touching headline something like this. Some people, they may have both these lines, the life and the headline, joined together for a long duration of time. So this also can be seen. But out here what we find is that there's a big gap between the head and the lifeline. So whenever a person has this kind of an indication, it is indicative of the person who is rash, outgoing, and never misses out on opportunities. So this is the thing that the person may have, and because of rashness, sometimes the relationships may also suffer. But don't think that every person who is a rash person, their relationships are always going to suffer. No, it is not like that. We have to look at other aspects of the palm to arrive at the conclusion. Because we find there are few problems out here, I would just say that try to remove a little bit of rashness, RASHNESS, rashness from your life, so probably things can get better. And so these people are very, very outgoing, and they never miss out on opportunities. So this is one aspect. Now, if we go back to the heart line again, you would notice that in this particular left hand, the heart line is a little bit long and reaching the mount of Jupiter. So mount of Jupiter, whenever the heart line is long and reaches the mount of Jupiter, it makes a person very emotional, very sensitive, very idealistic. And in the right hand, you would notice that the heart line is a little bit curved, and it's more near to the Saturn mount compared to the Jupiter mount. So this is the Jupiter mount. So whenever the heart line is a little bit shorter, I normally say it is a better sign, because you don't need to be extra emotional. You don't need to be extra sensitive, because the left hand is showing more sensitivity, more idealism, and higher expectations from relationships and partnerships. So whenever you have got higher expectations, you meet with disappointments. So it's better to be more realistic, more grounded, and you have to know the ground situations very well. So Saturn is more to do with knowing the ground situation, being more realistic, being more grounded, loving money, respecting money, valuing money, having wisdom. So all these things are represented by Saturn, and the heart line that is more near to the mount of Saturn is better sign. So in that way, the person may not feel as hurt as the person would have felt hurt if the heart line was longer. So I normally give more importance to the right hand. And so that's the reason why I would say that the person has moved away from being too idealistic and too sensitive to being a more realistic. Now, the person may claim that the person is very, very emotional and those kind of things. But the reality is, because the heart line is curving, curvature in the heart line makes a person passionate, display of emotions, and the person can't keep the emotions in check. So this is, if the heart line is curvature, so it makes a person a little bit of a temperamental kind of a person. Now, temperamental doesn't mean that the person is more emotional and more sensitive. It's just that these people are expressing their emotions more compared to other people. So in the left hand, it's much more longer, so more sensitive. They may not display the emotion because the heart line is a little bit straightness in the heart line. They tend not to display too much of the emotion in spite of being more idealistic and sensitive. So you would notice the difference out here. Now, the other aspect that I wish to convey out here is that this is something very, very different that we see out here. And the headline is kind of breaking, and the break is happening around the age of 35. Now, how we calculate age 35, it's the way we do it is, this is the line of money. The intersection of the money and the headline is approximately age 35. So in a normal person's case, it would be a straight line out here. Something, this intersection would be age 35. But in this case, because the intersection is happening and there are two lines out here, so that's the reason why this point could be age 35. So what is happening out here is that there's a major break happening. Major break on the headline means a total turnaround in one's personality. Now, total turnaround in one's personality can happen due to various reasons. It could be major changes that are taking place in their life, something good happening or something bad happening in their life. That is the reason why these major changes come about in one's life. So break in the headline could also mean mental breakdown. Break in the headline could also mean some major mental issues that the person may face in their life. And this could also be indicative sometimes of depression, depressive tendencies, mental isolation. So all these things, basically, the person needs to work upon. They need to be in the right company. If they are in the right company, the chances of any negative things happening in their life, they are basically very, very remote. Now, the good aspect regarding, even if there is a break on the on the headline, you would notice that this particular branch that we are talking about, which is kind of joining the headline, so this is a good sign to have. Any line pointing from the finger side and joining into any lines, something like, you'll notice these particular lines that are there. So these are also good lines. These are originating on the Mount of Jupiter, and same goes towards this particular line. So this Saturn being the area for money, and a branch from the pointing from the Saturn mount that kind of joins the headline means more money coming into your life. So even if some good sign is seen on the line of head, that can also be associated with money as well. And let me just go to the right hand. Now, regarding the other branches that I want to speak about, this is the line of head. So there are some good and negative. Both these things are showing up in the hand. So these are few branches. You don't need to have so many branches, but even one or two branches is good enough. And there are few branches like this as well, and there are few branches that are kind of this as well. So there's too much of things that are happening out here. So these particular branches are negative branches. Some of them, I'm just going to remove all of them and go one by one. So a branch from the Mount of Mars kind of joining the line of head is a little bit negative. The reason being that Mars is the area for anger, aggression, and fire. And any line originating or pointing from the Mount of Mars and joining the headline means fire entering your mind. So this is the area for fire, and fire is basically a river of fire is entering your headline. So fire is basically a tributary of fire is entering your mind. So anger, whenever it enters your mind, the chances of taking right decision decreases. So due to some issue or the other, there would be lots of anger, and because there's anger, the chances of wrong things happening in your life increases due to the anger part. Now this anger can be small part, or this anger can be big part. Small part is something like just small fights, that's it, and it ends out there. There's nothing too much to it. But the bigger thing could be sometimes the bigger fights that we have in our life. The bigger fights is something like court case, police case, all these kind of things that may play out. But don't think that it is only police case or all these kind of things. It could be plain simple, just simple fights, simple regular fights. So this is what basically it means. And don't be alarmed by all these kind of things that I've spoken, because the books basically say these things. I normally say that we shouldn't be alarmed too much. We just need to keep our anger in control. If we keep our anger in control, things can be good. Now, having these lines could also disturb our stomach, because if there's too much of fire in the mind, what's going to happen? Our stomach is going to get disturbed. Too much of acidity or all these things can also come about in your life. So try to eat at the right time, sleep at the right time, have a very regimented kind of a life, because there are also too many lines out here as well. The area for Mars negative area, this is just a name. Mars negative is a area encircled out here that you see out here. There are too many lines out here. This is the area for plains of Mars. Some people refer it as a Rahu Mount, and some people, the Western Palmistry, refer it as a plains of Mars. The meaning would remain roughly the same. Plains of Mars is the area for the temper. So having too many lines on the area for Mars negative plains of Mars means our temper is out of control. Temper, what we mean by temper is, you must be knowing temper is something like tempering of the sword. When we are making a sword, what we do is we heat the sword, heat the irons, and we basically then we try to hammer it, and then we cool it down, and then we again reheat it. So this process keeps on going repeatedly many times. So the sword that comes out ultimately is very, very hard and very, very strong. If the heating and the cooling process is not right, that means too much of fire is out here. So what's going to happen is that the sword is going to go brittle. Same thing is what I'm trying to represent out here. The temper needs to be in control. If the temper isn't within control, you can succeed much more in your life compared to if you have uncontrolled kind of a temper, or your stomach is not is not in the like, if your health is not good, if your stomach is not good, your health is not good. If your health is not good, the desire to do work is not going to be too much there, and there are going to be some pains and all these things that you had referred to. You had referred to something like that. There are some health and too much of body pains that you have in your life. So these things can be removed to a large extent if you have a very regimented kind of a life. And like we just have to have a very like, the eating habits needs to be in control, the right food and all these things. If we have, then things can be better in our life. So now let's talk about the lines that are coming from above and joining the headline. So these lines are considered to be beautiful lines. These lines are originating on the Mount of Jupiter. Any line originating on the Mount of Jupiter and joining the headline means that your mind is seeking honor, position, power, and respect, because Jupiter is the planet for administration, religion, politics, and honor. So you are likely to reach to a high position due to these particular lines that you have. Now, reaching the high position, the timing would be throughout your life, because these lines are seen in the earlier portion. So whatever good lines we have in the earlier portion, the effect of those things are likely to remain in your life for throughout your life. So this is another way of looking at it. Now the lines that are kind of leaning upward, branching upward, they are pointing towards the Mount of Mercury, and Mercury is the area for skill, calculation, communication. Palmistry book says if you have these lines, you could be a very good author. So this is again a very, very good line to have. Now we basically move on to the money line. Money line plays a role, but people think that it is the only line for money. I've spoken repeatedly about the money in throughout our reading in some way or the other. So money line plays a part, but it is not as important as we presume it to be. Now if we I've just darkened the image, you would notice that the stability of the money line is not there in the initial period of your life. So when the money line touches the headline, this is age 35. So this is when, before this particular point, what is happening is that the money line is kind of vanishing. It is ending and vanishing. So ending of the money line means an abrupt ending in your job, your basically business or something or the other. There's a total end: job loss, work loss, business loss. This is first thing. The second thing could be when there's a break on the line of money. It could also mean that the person is likely to like, they could be in the main earning member of the family. Their health or wealth may go down, and that's a reason why more responsibility can fall onto your head. So this is the second aspect that may play out. The third aspect could be one's personal life can also get disturbed due to a break in the line of money. So this is all few negative things that that may happen, and the age at which it may happen is around the age of 35. Beyond the age of 35, you'll notice that there are many money lines that you see out here, and there are also kind of some square-like formations also. So square-like formations on the line of money could indicate to property or a house or something. You have a land and you build a house, or you basically buy a house. All these things are basically represented by a square on the line of money. Now the thing is that if we just have to ask that, will property as an investment be good for you or not? So whenever the Mars area is not the best, this is the Mars area, so there are many lines out here. So having more lines on the area for Mars negative may not give the best impact to us regarding money, regarding, sorry, property as an investment. So in that way, I would say that property as an investment, as a house or your own house, that is fine. But too much of investment in properties may not reward you in a big way, compared to some other person who doesn't have any line out here, who doesn't have any lines out here. So for people who don't have too many lines out here, for them, property as an investment may be very, very productive. Now, if we just take at the lifeline, so lifeline is okay, but there are few islands at the initial start. So this portion, the person has already passed by. This portion could be roughly age 20. And you would notice 1 or 2 or 3 lines that are kind of branching out. So branching out of lines from the lifeline, these are the lines of like some health issues may keep on cropping up in a small way. And they are kind of pointing towards the area of Mount Moon, and Moon is basically the area of water. So water related issues, or the issues related to below the stomach where water is there, that's where few problems can arise, keep on arising. So the person needs to be careful regarding the health issues, and let me just go back. And the other question was, when will the marriage happen? This is one question. So see, this particular question, sometimes they show up in a hand and sometimes they don't show up in the hand in a complete way. Normally the way people calculate is by looking at this is the heart line. So these lines are basically referred to as the line of attachment or the line of marriage. Now people who have 2 or 3 lines, it doesn't mean that they would have 2 or 3 marriages. It doesn't mean that. But the first line is the line of first attachment, the second attachment, 3. So they should be reasonably strong, not very, very strong and very, very long. You don't need to have a very, very long kind of a thing. Just a normal length basically can indicate towards these things. And sometimes marriage can also be seen on the line of money. So if we look from the point of view of money, I would say roughly around the age of 25 or so, you can expect marriage. And in the left hand also, you'll notice that the money line does have few breaks. This is one break at the age of 30. There's again a break at the age of 35. These are few changes that will keep on cropping at the break at the age of 44. So these are there. Apart from that, there's another line that is running parallel out here. So this is a supporting lifeline. So this basically helps a person in difficult times, and it could also mean supporting income or parallel sources of income. This point is age 54. There's a V-like portion pointing towards the finger. So this is a good aspect. As far as the sun line goes, that is also reasonably very, very good from the age of 44 onwards. So 44 onwards, better prospects you can expect as far as career goes. And let me just briefly look at the sun line. So the sun line in this particular hand also appears somewhere close to the age of 40s, but initial period, this one is not a very strong line. But this line that we see out here, this is a strong line, and this is again a very, very strong line. So the stronger lines of sun basically mean that the person is trying to energize their work and they are likely to be successful in their life. A strong line means much more clarity that the person has. A clarity in the person brings basically success. See, people who are not successful, the reason they are not successful is because they don't know what they want to do. A stronger line basically means that they know what they want to do. Now you would notice there's a small and weak kind of a line. A weak kind of a line basically means our doubts and self-doubt out there. So in the initial period, there may appear to be doubts and self-doubt. The person is successful, everything is there, but still there are doubts and self-doubt. This portion of the sun line is good. This portion is a little bit of a weak portion. So this is before the age of 35 is good. Then there's a line becomes a little bit dim, but again it gains in strength after the age of 48 or so. This point is 48 or so. The line kind of originating from the area for Mars, positive area, it gives a quality of the person being more cool, calm, and having tenacity, and the person is known for these things, and that is the reason why the person is successful. Reasonably good, one line out here, you see reasonably good Mercury line. So Mercury line, whenever good, means good set of skills, although there are many crisscrossing lines as well. So these are also seen. Square is basically preservation, but it's always better to have less lines over the amount of Mercury, because having less lines over the amount of Mercury increases our capacity to learn anything very fast. Having more lines basically means the person is their mind is getting tired, or there's too much of bile that is secreted, and they're not giving rest to their mind. So you need to rest your mind as well. If you rest your mind, your health may improve. And some of the pains that you basically refer to, sometimes these pains are just somatic pains, and these pains may be due to overworked mind, or too much of lines on the area for Mars, negative area, too much of fire. So we can control these things in our life if we work upon it. Even if these lines show up in our palm, even then things can be improved. So I would just end my video out here, and thank you for watching. Bye and take care.